What's up, guys? Brett with Ansel's Adventures. So this video is going to be a little bit different. This is specifically for those who are interested in Dredge hot water heaters, and in particular maybe somebody who has a Holley H2O water heater, which is what I've got on the new Dredge I bought, and the modifications I'm going to do to it to try to improve it as best I can. And then following the instructional part of the video and all the build stuff, I'm going to give you my final thoughts on the heater and maybe some recommendations of you know, what I would like to see or what you may want to think about. So hope you like the video. Okay, so this is going to be the start of my modding my water heater. This is a Holley's H2O heaters, Medford, Oregon, and this is the one they produced. I don't know if they still are in production of these or not. They may be, I don't know. But anyway, after doing some research, we're gonna do some modifications to this because my first concern is safety. I don't want to get burned from a flash steam burn, which these have been known to do. So we're gonna correct that. So the guy from DWX water heaters did a video on this, and he's way more skilled at building heat exchangers and heaters than I am. I'm just going off of his recommendations, and I'm gonna do a little bit of my own interpretation in between. So yeah. His first complaint was there's no pressure relief valve on this heater anywhere. So when there's an issue with water flow, then you end up with a steam bath and you get burned. No bueno. So one of his big complaints was the filter. So off your pump, you got your fresh water supply, comes around, hits your filter. So if the filter gets clogged, you have no water going to your heater, the exhaust is steady pumping through it, and you end up with a flash burn of the steam. The water ends up flashing to steam, superheating the water, turns to steam, and you get burned. So he does not like the fact that you can't see in this filter. So to remedy that, I have a nice see-through filter with a little bit bigger mesh screen, because the one that's in here is super tiny, and that's not good either. The next was the valve. So when you cut this valve off or throttle it back, you're starving the heater for water, which then creates the same problem. The thought behind this is if you slow down the water flow, the water would get heated more and it would be hotter coming to the diver. But with the valve on this side of it, you would end up starving the heater for water, and no bueno. So I'm going to install a valve on the outside coming out of the reservoir here, essentially. And if you throttle this back, this valve here that will be here, then the heater will always have water in it. And what it'll do is you throttle this valve back, it'll stay in the heater longer and heat the water hotter going to the diver. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna leave this valve here in place or just do away with it completely. I may leave it in place and then just add the valve. Next thing was there's no pressure relief valve in this reservoir. So to modify that, got some nipples and a T and a reducer and a pressure relief valve. Same one that DWX uses in his heat exchangers. Same pressure, pressure sensor, pressure rating, and everything. So that'll go in there, into this section. Then we have that issue taken care of. The next is all these ugly ass brackets. Pardon my French. And the threaded rod on the outside, and the oversized caps and the wonky gaskets. All that looks terrible. So I'm gonna do what he did to his. Make a cap for the top that can be taken off with bolts, and to access the coil inside. The bottom one will probably be welded in. This will be cut to size, and tubes will be run out through it just like they are here, but then welded in, because you don't need to access the bottom if you can access the top. So that's my thought at this point. I'm not sure about the muffler yet. We may modify that or upgrade that too. Just have to see when I get into it and get it running, see what it sounds like, see if it's obnoxiously loud. He actually suggested opening this muffler up and letting it breathe a little bit better, but then it's gonna maybe obnoxiously loud because your suction hose comes off of the front here. This is where the motor would be facing, and you have a muffler pointed right at you while you're trying to work, talk, communicate with somebody else dredging, whatever. If there's an issue or whatever, it's just obnoxiously loud facing you. I don't think I can change that without causing other issues. I can rotate this around, but then it's blowing on this. That's not good. It can't melt hoses. Can't have it facing the gas tank. Don't want it facing the spark plug and the plastic air breather. So forward's about all I've got. I can put a 90 on this and aim it up, or put a 90 on it and angle it 45 maybe. It just depends. I don't know. We're gonna have to see how it goes. But anyway, I'm gonna start into this and get everything that I want separated and pulled apart, so I can start piecing this back together in the way that I would like it done. Yeah, and we'll go from there. There's gonna have to be some mods done. The new reservoir up here is gonna be longer, which shouldn't be an issue. The filter attachments, in my opinion, are kind of chintzy anyways, so I may have to do something different with that. Standoff brackets or something along those lines to put this there, and where you can still access the filter to clean the screen and stuff. But other than that, I don't think I'm forgetting anything, other than they use air fittings for the water supply. And the problem with that, if I don't make you seasick, on an air hose, all air hoses, they all have, make sure I can see it okay, they all have a check valve right there. So if that gets stuck, you gotta have a problem, at least without a pressure relief valve in there. What I'm going to change to, if I can open it, well, you can kind of see right through the package. This is a pressure washer fitting for water. There's no check valve. They are straight through all the time. They're still quick connects, but they're open. There's no check valve, no ball, no spring, no nothing. They're all the way through all the time. So there's no point of obstruction. So I don't know if I'm going to use this hose here. This was the water line that they supplied with the dredge that goes to the diver, and it may be okay. It looks terrible. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's going to crack or any of that, but I'm not super thrilled with it. So I'm thinking what I'm going to do is use my old air hose that I used to dive with to run a water line. It's still 3/8 air line, but it's a lot more malleable. It's a lot more less rigid than this stuff. This stuff has got memory bad from being coiled up for so long. And the other hose is brand new. It's soft, and if you're gonna have something down your back of your wetsuit, you don't want it to be something that's gonna be really bad, rigid and stiff and annoying. So I'm thinking I'm going to use the other hose, but we'll get to that when we get there. Alright, so we're going to get into this and get started. Hopefully you can see okay. So what I'm going to do is start pulling everything apart, and I'm going to save everything because I'm going to use bits and pieces of their basic setup, like probably these straps, and these end caps will stay. But a lot of this is going to go, at least on this section. I'm going to try to keep everything compact as I can. But we'll see how it goes. Yeah. Alright, so I got the heater apart, got everything disassembled. Show you how this thing works. So your water comes in from your pump, well, through your filter, into your exhaust heater, through the coils, comes back out. Top cap, this is your coil inside the heater, inside the exhaust heater. So he says it's 15 feet of stainless steel. Okay, we'll try it with this one. Oh, the GoPro battery died. Anyway, so it's 15 feet of stainless steel tubing, coiled up. Water comes in, exhaust heats it, comes back out. Goes to your red hose, comes out, hits the diver. So, there's a lot of problems with this. And I'm no expert, by far. Not in water heaters or boilers or heat exchangers or any of that. I'm just going on what I see and what the man from DWX pointed out, and I can see his point. This is very, very small diameter tubing, and this actually was blocked. I couldn't blow through it. So, had I tried to run that without a pressure relief valve, like this one, that would have had a water restriction and something would have gave up. Hose, the fittings going to it, something would have let go because it was completely blocked. That's why this is one of the most, I can say, well, I'll say it, one of the most dangerous parts of this, because there's no safety designed into it. And that's why I'm going through all this, and I'm going to fix that, because that could have been bad. Let me see, one of these fittings, yeah, I hope you can see that, completely corroded. There's rust buildup in it everywhere. If it's in that, it's in this tube. That's 3/4 of an inch. That may be an 1/8. I think it's 1/4 inch outside, but inside is maybe an 1/8. So it isn't going to take much corrosion and crap like that to stop that tube up. Then you basically got, well, if it's in this side and it blocks it before this, you got a pipe bomb. That's why this is so bad, the way it was designed. So we're going to remedy that situation before we even think about using that stuff. But anyway, what I'm going to start with is kind of the basic stuff that's easy, because it's getting late, and I can start fresh on all this stuff tomorrow. I'm going to assemble this like so, with the new end caps like so, the valve here, a reducer there, and a blow off valve in the center to replace this. That way we have an escape right here. That's the first safety feature we're going to install. So we'll do that, and then we'll probably call it a night and hit it again tomorrow. Here's some more of that corrosion and buildup I was talking about that was stuck in the heater tube. Doesn't take much of that junk, probably see it better on a phone, to stop up that hole. And to give you a size, that's teeny stuff. So yeah, that's why the stuff's so important. Alright, so here is the new version of what they had. It's a little bit longer, not bad. Added my valve. So now this will go, I have a closed toolbox, like so. roughly. Pressure relief valve and the valve down here to throttle back the water to change my temperature versus the one down there that starves the heater with water. So there we go. You have to excuse the mess. I've been going pretty hard. So yeah, we're gonna stop there for this evening. And I did get all my fittings put on from the previous video. So yeah, we are making some headway. Okay, so I've skipped ahead a little bit. Y'all didn't want to sit here and watch me machine parts for a while. But anyway, I cut the new bottom plate, or actually just cut this one down to size and welded it in. Welds ain't great, but they're not too terrible. It's been a while. But anyway, now metal splitter. So what'll happen is the coil will come down through the top, stick out the bottom. There are the fittings to connect on the bottom, and all the access will be through the top from now on. And really, the only access you're going to need is to clean this coil every so once in a while, but not too big a deal. So don't need a hole that big to do what I need to do. And yeah, so let's see, machine the top plate. Going to thread this so the top cover can be screwed down like such. And then you need to access it clean. Just take 4 screws out. There you go. Good to go. So yeah, that's what we're working on now. Plucking right along. Okay, so the next suggested mod is to take fender washers, 1/2 inch, bore them out to 3/4, and insert them in the coil to add as deflectors to make the exhaust slow down a little bit and heat this coil up even more than it already is. So that's what we're going to do. These coils are extremely strong. Because of the way they're wound. And he said they would be. Like so. So exhaust will go in, and because these are tilted ever so slightly, it'll kick back off and make some variations in the flow rate or the flow pattern of the exhaust. And whether it's true or not, I don't know. I'm going with the man's recommendation to build heaters all the time. Comer, if you're watching, don't hate me. I know you can probably build this out of stainless and build one like he builds with a heat exchanger and the whole 9 yards, but I don't have that capability nor the knowledge. So I'm going with what has been proven to work. And yeah. The stainless is rank stuff to try and stretch. There. Now we have 4 coils, or 4 baffles in the coil. So what will happen is coil will drop down through. I can line the holes up. Maybe. I'll find that one. Like so. stick out of the end, just like before. Okay, that's gonna be like so. But what we're gonna do, I'm gonna tap this plate down. Gotta tap these screws out first, and then this lid will get bolted too. So I can unscrew some little small Allen head screws, machine screws, and pull the top off, and then I can wash this out, spray it with cleaner, get all the yuck out, whatever I need to do. So yeah, that is the way that that is going to work. And I think we are going to be in good shapes. I might want to move that bottom washer up just 1 or 2 notches because the muffler's hitting it, or the old pipe is hitting it, and I don't want it to. I want it to be a little bit off. Let's try this one. Not too far. Kind of a pain to line up the initial, but after you get it going, it ain't too awful bad. I don't intend to take it back out. Okay, that's much better. Yeah. Because what will happen without the baffles too, and where this manifold comes in, the exhaust will just go up and dump right out the side, which we don't want. We want it to come up through the center, through here, hit the lid, and go back down the outside, and then come out the muffler. That way it has time to heat the water up all the way around. So yeah, I'm going to tap this, insert this, weld it in, and I'm not going to go crazy welding this in. I'm just going to weld it in like 3 or 4 spots so I know it ain't coming out. And then we can put our lid on and screw it down. That's the plan. So now we're going to tap these holes out, hopefully straight. Hopefully I don't break a bit off. And then we'll have something to screw our screws into without having to have nuts on the inside, nuts on the outside, bolts running down the outside, and everything like it was before. Because that was pretty rough stuff right there that they had going on, I think. Clearly I wasn't the only one that thought it. So yeah. Get out of there. And I did it right. Yeah. Screws in. Nice and tight. Very good. Very good. We'll do that 3 more times. Then we can get this installed into the case. Okay, so here's the top plate. Gasket, new top plate. And it'll fit a little persuasion down in top once I get it oriented right, and then screw down. Yeah, then we can put the bottom back together and we can start putting stuff back together. All right, so here's my simple support arm. All I did was make a arm, rounded the ends off, drill 2 holes in it, welded a tab to the side. You can kind of see back there. So yeah, that'll keep all the vibration. That thing ain't going nowhere now. So yeah, waiting on my installation to get here so I can wrap that, and that'll be good. And in the meantime, while I'm waiting on this, I can start plumbing the rest of this stuff back together, and I'll start on that tomorrow because it's getting late. So yeah, we are getting there. It already looks 10 times better than it used to. So yeah, hopefully it works as good as I hope it will, and we'll be good. All right, so this is where we're at as of this morning. Got the rest of the bolts put in, and shot some high heat black paint on it just to keep the stuff that's not being wrapped from rusting, like the muffler and the brace and the bolt and that kind of deal. But I think it came out pretty daggone good. Whole lot more clean and compact, and it's not going nowhere. I mean, it does not move off the motor, and that's just for vibration. So yeah, Another thing the guy suggested in his video was to drill these holes out through the baffle and the muffler to help it breathe a little bit better. His concern was using the stock exhaust manifold pipe right here into this. It was creating too much back pressure with this muffler. So his suggestion was to open these holes up through the baffle to allow it to breathe a little bit better. So we went on with that. If it's too noisy and obnoxious, I'm just going to replace the muffler with one like it. I was going to put an elbow on it and turn it up just so it's not facing the diver, but then rain can get in it and water can splash in it and the whole 9 yards. So that's not going to happen because I don't want to have to constantly worry about covering it and all that deal. I thought about turning it to the side, but that's where all my plumbing's going to be. So I'm kind of limited on this version here. But yeah, we're going to finish getting this thing plumbed back together. I was going to change all the hoses out, but I'm kind of limited because of the fittings that they used. So we're probably going back with everything stock as far as hoses. I'm going to blow them out real good, make sure they're all clean. And then hopefully we can secure them a little bit better, tidy them up a little bit, but we'll see. But yeah, so far, so good. Okay, so now that I've got a charged GoPro battery, we're going to see about putting this all back together and getting everything plumbed in the way we want. So yeah, and then I'm going to test this motor. I've got a trash can full of water so I can run the pump, and I want to make sure the motor runs okay because I've just got it. Check the pump and check the heater. So that's the plan for right now. Anyway, we've got to get this roughly back here. That one should be fairly easy. I bought some new clamps and I don't know how well they're going to hold up. And we'll see. My thought was use them to stand off the case, because I've got quite a bit more pipe that I'm trying to get by now. Hopefully all my hardware will work right back that they supplied. That's my thought. Let's see, y'all. And if these should start to rust or anything funky, I can paint them. Not sure how well this stuff will hold up into water, but we'll find out. And it may be obnoxious and I take it all off, I don't know. But I'm hoping not. I'm hoping it'll work well, not rattle. Something along those lines. That's my plan. So yeah, I'm gonna get this one bolted up and then show you what it looks like. Okay, so here's how it sits, and it actually doesn't sit bad. Hopefully I don't have any vibration issues with that. We'll see when it runs. But I can access the pump, the filter, to clean that, so that's all good. And access this valve that I shouldn't be using. This one should stay open all the time. This will be my valve to throttle back the water. So yeah, we're going to keep going, get these two lines plumbed into the heater, and yeah, then we're ready to test this baby out. That one's a simple screw-on connection, and I would really like to get this stuff back, but I got to be careful of kinks. So we'll see what we can do. Okay, so here it is all back together. I'm not crazy about the way the lines run, but I'm very, very limited because of how they did this with the connections they used. So I gotta kind of make the best of it. I may try to bend these up a little bit without hopefully breaking them. just to get a little bit nicer look, but I don't know. But yeah, it's all back together. We're going to get this thing in some water, fire it up, and see what it does. Maybe it works, maybe it don't. We'll find out. Okay, so this is my test setup. It's not great, but it'll work, I hope. So I know the muffler's gonna smoke because it's just been painted and hasn't been hot yet. Not worried about that. Already primed the pump, so that's good. Valves are open, so water should flow from here. And yeah, it's gonna be noisy, but hopefully you'll be able to hear me okay. Make sure that hose stays in there, don't blow out and drown me. So yeah, let's see what it'll do. That's on. Pump to the throttle up, that's choked. Got a drip already. That ferrule fitting. Whew, big much. I was afraid of that. I'm not getting any water through my filter. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Yeah, even on idle, that thing's got a ton of pressure. Okay, so we had a little snafu. These fittings right here are absolutely the weak link on this system, in my opinion. From everything I've been through so far. These fittings are crap. Especially when you're trying to take them to stainless steel. You can't get them tight enough to seal without that happening. They crack. I've already cracked 2. So I went to the hardware store, got some more. These things are $8 a piece. And they're crap. So they're not gonna work very well on stainless, because the stainless is too hard. It's not like copper, which is what those are made for, to get the ferrule to bite into the copper to seal. So what I'm gonna try to do, is go this route, with this route, and stainless steel PEX clamps, short piece from here to here. Oh, sorry, from here to here. And see if that'll work, because coming in is low temperature, it's fresh water. Coming out is only going to be 110 degrees at the most, 120. And you've got a little bit of room between the exhaust coming out, or the hot water coming out, and open air. So I'm thinking it should probably stand the temperature change. But we're going to try it. I'm going to get those put on and let it run for a bit and see if the hose gets hot or if it has a failure or whatever. But I'm glad I found this out here instead of on the river, because that would have been a pain, and there's nowhere close where I'm at to go get parts. So that's my plan. We're going to see how it goes. Well, we may have to go back to the drawing board. It gets hot. The problem is there's not enough water flow. Not sure why. Well, I know part of it because he's running 1/4-inch fittings and 1/4-inch tubing through the heater. Yeah, it comes out hot. But I'm not sure how I can increase the flow rate of water to keep it at a manageable temperature. I gotta think about this one. His improvements definitely make the water hot. May have to remove 2 of those washers inside. Gotta think about this one. Head scratcher. All right, So there may be a reason he never came out with the last video after he did his modifications, because it may be too hot with those modifications. This valve is set to blow off at 145, 140, I think. This was, it wasn't spraying, but it was dripping, which means it got to 140. This was coming out, and this is like 90 degrees, 92 degrees today. This was coming out hot enough to steam with it being 92 degrees outside. Now, having said that, that going through a hose in the water to a diver, you're going to lose temperature as the hose hits the water and it cools back down before it gets to the diver. But I can't have it coming out at 140 because that is going to come off at 140 like it's designed to. So I need to increase water flow, or I would have to upsize pretty much all these 1/4-inch fittings. Problem is, the tubing coil inside of here is set at 1/4-inch. There's no change in that unless I take it back apart and recoil copper in like 3/8. And I don't even know if I could pull off 3/8 in that small of a container. But it's starting to have me wondering why he never finished the third installment on his video series after he did the modifications. But I'm thinking I figured out why. All right, these were the washers that I installed into the coil. I left one because I know without any washers in here, the temperature only comes up like maybe 50 degrees off water temperature. So I'm going to try one and see how it goes. And I upsized these screws I put in a little bit because the stainless ones were not cutting it, and I was having issues with them. So I'm just going to tap this in place, put the cover on, put it together, and try it and see what kind of water temperature I get. If I'm still having problems with steam, then I'm going to pop it back out, take this out, and run it the way it was, just the coil, no other stuff. Still leave the bracket and all that like I made, leave all that like it is, because all that was fine, but it kept flashing over to steam almost instantly without an extra water source. So what I tried was I cut this in line, so it would come off the pump, go through the filter, come around and hit this. The straight through line would go to the heater. This would come up and tee into the line coming from the heater to add more water flow. And it still wouldn't work. Without it, it goes to steam. If I turned it on, and I mean it wasn't much, just barely cracked to there, I had this water temperature coming out of the trash can. It didn't raise it at all. And I didn't have hardly any flow. So basically all this was doing was supplying me water to the heater, but not tempering the water down to where it wouldn't go to steam, coming straight out of the exhaust. So I tried a bunch of different variations of that, and it still wouldn't work. So I'm not sure how this video is going to come together. I don't want it to be confusing. But for somebody who has this heater and is thinking about trying this the way I did, I'm hoping they'll watch this all the way through and I can cut out a bunch of junk like I'm doing and get them to where they need to be, where I want to be, with hot water, flows well, no problems with, you know, steam burns or anything like that. That's what I'm after. So yeah, gonna keep plugging along until we get there. Okay, so after countless attempts to make that heater work the way was suggested, not happening. Way too much restriction, water got way too hot, went to steam almost instantly, and even trying to add another water source to the heater to increase water flow still didn't work. So let me show you where we're at right now. Here is the essentially finished product of my hot water heater modifications. This is insulation wrapping on the heater, and it actually works really well. I'll see if I can pop a link in the comments or in the description about what that is. It's a little bit stiffer than I was expecting and hard to work with as far as molding to the heater, but it works great as far as insulation. When it was running, I could put my hand on this and it was not hot, like at all. So that part was great. But yeah, overall, this is how it came out. And after running this for pretty much a day, I had a few issues. That tab broke off, that mounts it. So I had issues with this going on. I've got to redo that. But other than that, that was the only mechanical issue that I had with running this. Okay, so final thoughts on the Holley H2O heater. Will it heat? Yes. I don't think it would have done as well without some of the modifications that I did, specifically the washer in the top of the coil. That did bring the water temperature up. The downside, it does not have hardly any flow, and I've tried everything I could think of to increase water flow and maintain hot water, and yeah, just not happening. So part of the issues I was having testing it at home, I didn't have any back pressure on the pump to increase the flow through the filter into the heater. So I kind of figured that's what it was. So I knew that going into running the dredge. Put it in the water, and the water flow, it did increase slightly. It kept it from going off to steam, and it heated the water, but it was a trickle, and I mean a trickle. The water was cold the day I ran it, and it did keep me warm. Now, if you're in 30-degree water or less, you're going to struggle with it maintaining enough flow and enough heat to keep you warm after a day. Hopefully you can hear me over this wind. But it does work. Now, compared to a DWX, which I had two right beside me, there's no comparison. Like, no comparison. They had hotter water with 4 times the flow easily, and they did not have any issues staying nice and toasty warm. And even in 30-degree or less water, I could see no problem dredging with one of those heaters and being perfectly comfortable. I can't say the same with the Holley heater. I had issues with a mounting bracket that broke just due to vibration, and it was made out of aluminum, and it was kind of chintzy, and it snapped. So I've got to fix that. I'm not impressed. I mean, will it work? Yes. Will it work well? Not so much, I don't think. I've seen a bunch of people make their own homemade deals out of fire extinguishers. And I would say if you could use 1/4-inch thin-walled tubing or 3/8 tubing, so you have increased water flow to the diver, I would think it would be better. But I'm no expert at this. This is, take this with a grain of salt. This is just somebody who got a dredge with a heater on it and tried to make some improvements based on recommendations. As far as I'm concerned, from what I've seen and what I've researched, DWX heat exchangers are by far the top dog. He makes a great product, but it's expensive. You're looking at almost $1,000 for a hot water heater. So me being me, I get digging around on the interweb rather, and yeah, I think I can build it for about $300 with basically every part being bought from Amazon, and have to do a little bit of machine work, which I probably would just take to a machine shop to have done, and I'm gonna have the same water heater, actually same heat exchanger, but that'll be a separate video. I'm gonna play with this a little bit more, just because I own it, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know that I'm gonna be doing a pile of dredging in the winter, just because I like to deer hunt and, you know, all that, duck hunt, duck season. So we'll have to see. The biggest thing for me will be starting earlier in the spring. I would love to get a jump around March, early March, getting in the water and going to it. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm headed with that. But yeah, hopefully you got something out of this video. I know it's gonna be a long video, but if you have one and you have concerns about safety, the pressure relief valve is definitely going to be your ticket. And if you're trying to increase efficiency, I think the modifications will help you out. At least I hope it helped you out. I learned a lot from doing this this project, and yeah, you know, hope you got something out of it. So if you like the video, you know, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, share the video. You know, if you got a buddy who's got one of these or whatever, and you know, he's thinking about it or looking at buying one, as best I can tell, these things are still on the market for $700 to $800. They look like they're still available to buy. If it was me, I was going to drop $700 to $800 and didn't have the means to make my own, I would probably go DWX. That's just personal opinion. Take it for what it's worth. But I'm a pretty mechanical fella, and there's no comparison. Like, none. And about exhausted. And the simplicity of DWX's design is hands down the way to go, by far. You don't have all the wanky hoses in the way. It's nice and clean. It stays cool. You got great hot water and great flow, which is what you're after in the first place. So if you're gonna drop that kind of cash, why not? But yeah, definitely looking to build my own. So keep an eye out for that video. I do it over the winter. We'll see. We'll just have to see how it goes. See how busy I am with deer season, turkey season, camping in the mountains. You know, I got a busy plate plus work on top of that. So yeah, hope you liked the video, and I hope you got something out of it. All right, thanks guys.